Hi everyone, it's Miriam with a Y. A while back, I was sent art panels to try out, and I'd like to tell you about them and start showing you the fun that can be had with them. These panels are made by a company named Masterpiece. Masterpiece has been making very professional quality canvases for over 50 years. Their surfaces instantly increase the value of the work that you do on them. Not too long ago, Masterpiece created a panel with alcohol ink art in mind, and it's truly different than anything we've used in the past. The panels are double-sided, first of all, with a non-porous vinyl mounted on a 1/8 inch thick hard MDF core. The surface has a slight texture that gives the inks a bit of a pearly look as a result. The texture also gives us a little longer open time with the inks, and it also influences how the inks move. It kind of slows down their bloom, therefore making these panels perfect for anyone who likes to have a little more control of the inks. One of the amazing things about Masterpiece is the variety of sizes in which they offer their products, and these panels are no exception. They're available in over 20 sizes. I don't even have them all, including sizes that are based on the golden ratio and the related Fibonacci numbers. If you're not familiar, in the Fibonacci sequence, each number is the sum of the previous two. And interestingly, as the numbers go up, the ratio between any two adjacent numbers gets closer and closer to the golden ratio, which is also called the golden mean, the divine proportion, and that ratio is 1 to 1.618. And it's often represented this way, with this spiral. And you'll find that this proportion and these Fibonacci numbers exist throughout our universe in the number and layout of seeds, the number of petals and flowers, the proportions of the human face and body, the way galaxies spiral. And why should we care? Well, when used in art, that ratio can be used to best design dynamic canvas shapes or to determine where to best position focal points in a painting. Think of it as the more refined relative to the rule of thirds. The golden ratio shows up in the work of Michelangelo, Botticelli, Da Vinci, Seurat, Dali, and can be seen in the design of architecture, both ancient and modern. Because it's believed that the human eye finds this proportion especially aesthetically pleasing, that our brains see things in this proportion as correct, familiar, beautiful. So, to that end, Masterpiece has a series of panel sizes and countless canvases too, actually, based on the golden ratio proportions. In the panels, they have the popular sizes, which fit easily into standard picture frames, and they also have some special sizes, proportioned with golden compositions in mind. Let's go ahead and paint on one of these panels. For this painting, I'm going to use a 6 by 8 inch panel to get us started, and my plan is to paint an evergreen branch, something like this, and to add a couple of ornaments with different patterns maybe, and different shapes too. I'll use Marabu inks for this because I really like how they behave for painting. I'll also do some masking and show you how fun and effective that is. And I'll throw in some microfine glitter using two slightly different methods. Since I touched on the golden mean, let me show you how I could use it for my layout. I've gone ahead and marked off the golden grid, if you will, on this 6 by 8 inch piece of paper. On the 6-inch side, the golden mean line from the top down would run along here. From the bottom up, it would run along here. On the 8-inch length, from the left to the right, the golden mean line would be here, and from the right to the left, it would be here. So that's how I kind of make out the grid. There's a teeny tiny bit of math involved in figuring this out. It's literally dividing two numbers. I've written out the simple instructions in the description box below for those of you that really want to know. Okay, so my plan is to lay things out this way. My main branch will run along this mean line, and my focal point ornament will be on this mean line. And I'm going to throw in a couple other ornaments. One of them I'm going to position where the spiral would end. The golden mean spiral would end around here, so I'm going to put an ornament here, and for fun I'm going to throw in an extra ornament right about there. Now, can you just paint things anywhere you want? Of course you can. If you like where you position things, then that's perfect. The best layout is the one that makes you happy. But if you struggle with composition, or you just want a little bit of a guide, the golden ratio, or mean, might be a fun principle to incorporate. In pencil, I've lightly sketched in the position of my main branch and where my ornaments will go. To make my life easy later, while I paint in a pale blue sky background, using contact paper or shelf liner, I cut out my ornament shapes to use as masks. Now my background's going to be a very light color, so I probably didn't need to do this, but I wanted to show you how well masking this way works on these panels. You can usually get a roll of this shelf liner at the dollar store, by the way. You don't need anything fancy, and the design or the color definitely doesn't matter. Now, with my ornament masks down, I'll paint in a very light blue sky, but you can paint any background you like. My tree is going to be an outdoor tree. Using cinnamon, I paint in the core of my branches. This core is what will get the pine needles in a bit. I throw in a little branch at the top to suggest a branch a little further back. In a tiny silicone cup, I add a couple of drops of olive green ink, and using a little detail brush, I start putting in my needles. This is a simple flicking motion. I start out with short needles first to see how they look. I can always make them longer if I like later, but if I start with ones that are too long now, they can be tricky to correct if I don't end up liking them. After a little bit, I add some agave green into the olive green to start varying the color of the needles slowly. And I continue filling in my needles. For the little branch at the top, I want the needles to be much, much shorter. Again, to suggest that that branch is further back in the distance. Content with how things are looking so far, I'm going to start work on the ornaments. So I'll peel off the contact paper masks. Now, theoretically, these are reusable. If you like, you can put the backing paper back on them and have them ready for a later project. I lightly sketch in where I'll later add ornament toppers, and then pull out my masking fluid. I love this stuff, and I find that the 20 gauge needle is perfect for getting decent details without much clogging. Before I start on my actual painting, I start the flow of the fluid on something else to make sure it's good to go. And then I apply the lightest pressure as I draw my pattern. This stuff starts to dry immediately, so be deliberate and don't backtrack if you can avoid it. Doing that can lift the line you've put down, so really keep moving forward. I'm just making up random patterns on these ornaments, but you can draw whatever your imagination dreams up. You could do words maybe, or pictures. Have fun with this part, and then let it dry completely. I mean, completely. I recommend waiting an hour if you can stand it. Now, if for some reason you have a boo-boo while you're drawing with it, or you don't like what you've drawn, just let it dry, rub it off, and then just do it again. Nothing will be harmed at all. Like I've got a little extra glob at the top of the middle ornament, but I'm just going to let that go. I'll just fill it in with color later. Once I've finished laying down my patterns, I quickly close the bottle of fluid, making sure to insert the wire that's attached to the cap into the needle. This will ensure that your fluid is good to go the next time you use it. And for a little extra good measure, I put it back in a Ziploc bag too, because, I figure that can't hurt. Now let's paint our ornaments. I've decided to make the two smaller ones my favorite gentian blue. I love this color. And I'll add some rainbow ink to it in my little silicone cup. That'll give the blue a little shimmer. I also add a couple of drops of isopropyl alcohol to thin the color down a little bit, and then I paint my first ornament. Now for the alcohol, I just use 91%, 99 is fine, whatever you have. I paint right over the masking fluid. I'm not even being particularly gentle about it either. I'm not saying you should bear down on it with your brush, but the masking fluid is pretty stable now, so you can paint comfortably. You don't have to be like all super careful around it. I double up on the ink on the right side to darken it a little bit and suggest a little shading. And then I do the same for the other blue ornament. Now for the main ornament, I'm going with red. Since I couldn't decide between cherry red and Bordeaux, I mixed the two and compromised. Cherry is a warmer red and Bordeaux is a cooler red, so now I've got a room temperature red. And like with the blue ornaments, I double up on the right side for a little hint of shading. All right, let's take the masking fluid off. I start a little corner of it with my nail and then literally just rub it off afterwards. It balls up pretty easily and it's oddly satisfying to take off. It's kind of fun to do. And it's a lot of fun to see your pattern emerge. After doing some cleanup and filling in of color here and there as needed, in theory, you could stop here. Or you could color the white parts in with markers or something. But these are ornaments, so let's add some sparkle. For this, I'm going to use adhesive size that I've put into a little bottle for convenience. This stuff is meant for adding metal leaf, like gold leaf to things. It's a glue of sorts that dries sticky. And a little goes a long, long way. In this case, less is more. You can use a micro brush to apply it, a detail paintbrush, or what I like to use for really good details is a small dotting stylus. because the stylus doesn't flex or hold much. The little bit that it grabs is enough to spread. Again, you want a very thin layer. And like the masking fluid, you want it totally dry before the next step, which in this case is going to be sticking stuff to it. Once the adhesive is dry, I sprinkle a very small amount of Cool Diamond Microfine Glitter by Elizabeth Craft near it, and with my finger, I spread it around. The adhesive will grab the glitter. The goal here is to rub a lot. I know you're going to think you would rub the adhesive off, but you won't. The more you rub, the better, because you'll be burnishing the glitter down and it'll sparkle all the more. There's something about burnishing this glitter that really makes it glisten even more. Now you can choose any color you like for this. At first I was thinking I was going to add colored glitter, but I opted for a colorless glitter to show you something else we can do later, after I repeat the same process for the other ornaments. For the main ornament, I'm opting for warm diamond glitter, as opposed to the cool diamond that we used before. Both the warm and cool glitters sparkle mostly white when you look at them straight on. The cool glitter looks a tiny bit bluish or greenish when it's tilted, but the warm diamond looks very golden, and I love that. It's like getting two different colors for the price and work of just one. So I get two different effects. An advantage to using the mostly colorless diamond colors is that you can use a little alcohol ink after the fact and add any color you like. So on this ornament, I'll use lemon to make the pattern yellow for a little bit of a golden sparkle. I'll end up adding color to the other blue ornament later because, you know, why not? But first, I use a silver paint pen to color in my ornament toppers. Now another option could be to use silver or gold leaf for that, using the adhesive size, but this paint pen was quick and easy, so I went with that. And then I used a Sharpie for some extra details. At this point, I stood back and I looked at the piece. I liked the position of everything, but I felt the branch looked a little, I don't know, weak maybe. So I filled it in a bit more. And I also lengthened the needles. Off camera, I used a couple other inks to color in the ornament on the left. Because, you know, I was looking at some inks, I was looking at the sparkle, and I said, yeah, let's do color. So, yeah, I had some fun. And, well, we're kind of done. Well, maybe. This piece is ready to be framed if you like. It will fit into a standard frame. But let's say you don't want to frame it, that you want to maybe put it on an easel type stand. What about the edges? Well, here's my fun plan for that. And yep, there's more glitter. Because can there ever be enough? I mean, really. Tell me in the comments what you think about that. These panels are exactly 1/8 of an inch thick. So I got some 1/8 inch double-sided adhesive tape. And I'm going to adhere that to the edge. Like so. I make sure to burnish it well onto the edge. Next, I fold a piece of regular copy paper and spread some glitter along the fold. I opted for this sea glass color. I liked how it went with the branches while still being fairly neutral. I expose some of the double-sided tape and then I tap the panel into the glitter. Like with the ornaments, I will burnish this glitter down too. Really, really well. Again, the more you do it, the more it glistens. And then I brush off any extra. I am tickled all shades of pink over how this piece turned out, and I positively loved working on this panel. I'm super excited to see how I might be able to use these for mixed media with alcohol ink. Like I could do some painting and then maybe add some, I don't know, paper and texture stuff around the edges. I don't know. I think there are a lot of options available. To fully finish this piece, I'll seal it with a couple of coats of Kamar varnish. Once that's done, I can either add a UV resistant acrylic spray or even a layer of resin. That's another advantage of these panels. Because they're so nice and rigid, adding resin is super easy. Huge thanks to Masterpiece for these awesome panels, and to all of you for watching. Let me know what you thought of this. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and talk to me in the comments. I love hearing from you. Let your creative nature shine this holiday season. See you soon. Bye now.